What's up, guys? This is CJ from CJ's Keto Kitchen. Today we're going to make a low carb, almost sugar-free steak sauce. So let's get this started. All right, so we're going to make some low carb, keto friendly, almost sugar-free steak sauce. This is something that I don't know if you've ever really paid attention to the amount of sugar that's in the store-bought steak sauce, but if you ever look at it, you'll be surprised how much is in there. So I've already got all of my ingredients pretty much ready, and I'm going to make this fairly quickly. All right, so you're gonna need a saucepan. You're gonna need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in. Set that aside. You're gonna need 3/4 of a cup of the reduced sugar ketchup. You'll need a 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. So I've already got that. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Pour that in there. 3 tablespoons of mustard. Okay. A 1/2 cup of water. Now, a lot of my dry ingredients I've already put into one container, so I'm just going to read off what they are. So in this cup, I have 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of paprika, and that is all that's in this mixture right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. Combine that into the dish or into my pan. You also need 1 tablespoon of hot sauce. So already poured that in. So I'm going to start. You need to turn your stove. I've got my stove on medium heat. And I want to start mixing this together. And let the heat start to, let this just start to cook and mix all together. You're also going to need a 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Now, the thing that's funny about the xanthan gum to me is, I don't know if you guys watch Papa G's Low Carb. If you don't, you should. You should subscribe to his channel. But one of the things that I always thought funny was Papa G always used xanthan gum. And so, you know, I never had any. And so I went out and found some, purchased it, and probably more so just because I always saw recipes by Papa G and wanted to get my own. So anyway, you're going to use only a half a teaspoon of xanthan gum. And you know, this, a 1/2 teaspoon is not a whole lot. And this is really just used to thicken up your sauce. All right, so I've got that. 1/2 teaspoon is not a whole lot. Okay, that's what a 1/2 teaspoon looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and dump that in there. And then you wanna start stirring that around so that it can fully dissolve. And the last thing you're gonna need is some liquid sweetener. So I have some stevia, liquid stevia. The recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of sweetener, or do it to taste. So I'm just going to squirt in 1, 2, 3. 3 squirts. And we're going to see how that it starts. And then the next part of it is you just want to begin to stir that around. You really want to get that xanthan gum incorporated. It's going to thicken up our sauce. I got this recipe. This is not an original recipe. I found this recipe online, and so I'm going to credit where I found it from. It's from a site called UpLateAnyway.com. And so I am going to give them credit for this recipe. I have not added even one little thing to it. So that's why I'm going to give them full credit for, where I found the recipe. I have no idea where they got it from or if they made it, but I am going to give them credit since that's where I got it from. So we're going to just let this simmer. I've got this on a little bit more than medium heat. So I've got starting to boil. But again, I'm going to make sure I stir this up really well. In fact, I'm going to get a whisk. All right. Yeah, the whisk is really good. Helps break up that xanthan gum. You really want to break that up from what I understand. Really want to incorporate it well. So I've got you can store this for a while in your refrigerator. This will make about 1 1/4 cups of steak sauce. And a serving size of this steak sauce is 2 tablespoons. You just need to let this simmer for 10 minutes. I've got it on medium heat right now. I'm actually going to turn that down. I do not want this burning on the bottom of my pan. So I'm going to turn that down to some low heat. And we're going to let that simmer for 10 minutes. So after this is done, you're going to need to let it cool. I went to my local Walmart, picked up one of these dispenser containers. I think this cost me 97 cents. Pretty flimsy. Not sure how long it's going to last, but we're going to try it for this recipe. Check this for sweetness to see if I need to add any more sweetener. Now for me, that's perfect. It's got a nice bite to it. Tastes like a steak sauce. Actually does have a little bit of spicy bite to it, and so that's interesting. And this is one of these recipes that you can use it as a base, but then you can experiment on your own and make it your own recipe. So I've got my steak in the oven. I like my steak on medium. I've got one of these ThermPro digital thermometers. This is the kind where you stick the probe into the meat. You can set it to a certain temperature. So 160, internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit is supposed to put you at medium. Right now, this is at 108 degrees in the internal temperature. So once this gets to 160 degrees, it will beep and I should have a perfect steak. So we'll see. This is a fairly new product. It works really well on chicken. The first time we tried it on some steaks, it was just so-so. But I've kind of done some experimenting since then, and hopefully this will be better. And And of course, we'll put a link to this in the description if you are interested in purchasing one. So I'm pouring in the sauce. I'm probably doing this a little bit premature as far as it not being cooled enough. Hopefully it doesn't melt my container. Look at that, the entire container. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to stick this in the freezer really quick. Okay, there's my steak. Again, I like my steaks medium. So let's see what this looks like. So when you pull this out, you need to be careful when you remove this probe because this probe this was in the oven with the meat. So it is extremely hot. So here's my dish. I've let this sauce cool a little bit. I kind of cheat it, put it in the freezer really quick. Let's see what we got here. Looks like sauce. Now a serving is 2 tablespoons. I'm pretty sure that's not 2 tablespoons. It's time to try. The sauce is delicious. I think maybe I could have used a little bit more xanthan gum, but as far as taste, that sauce is really good. So there you have it. A low sugar, low carb steak sauce that you can make at home. Channel, thanks for being here. We upload new content, new recipes every Sunday. We do a segment called Keto Conversations every Wednesday, and we appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching CJ's Keto Kitchen. Peace.